All right, it's Jay and Nick. We have just come back from the first CMP race of 2016. The remarkable thing about this race, I have to say, was the weather. On Saturday, gorgeous. On Sunday, it was a biblical flood. It poured down rain, there was lightning hitting the track, everyone was scurrying for cover, we had to pull all the cars off, we lost about an hour of racing, and most of all, Roland keeps coming up, like for 3 videos in a row.
Yeah.
Roland got to do his favorite thing in the world, which was be Accu-Roland 3000.
Yes, there's nothing that a middle-aged Midwesterner likes more than to pontificate and predict the weather.
Weather Service just issued a flood warning for low-lying areas.
And the Knox Vegas Lowballers Hooptiecorn, which is their contour-based Ken Block Mustang tribute car, finished freaking 7th overall.
That was spectacular.
Hella sweet.
On the hella sweet but terrible cusp, Johan brought yet another in his series of entire race-offending themes, this time pissing off Mexicans.
Heroic Fix went to Squatting Dog Racing and their Plymouth Valiant. Now this is a slant 6 powered machine. Now like the Chevy 350, like the Toyota 22R, the slant 6 is an engine that when on the street runs great. Run for 1,000,000 miles with nothing but water in the crankcase. For some reason, when you get any one of those 3 engines within spitting distance of a racetrack, they just blam, and the parts come shooting out the side, there's fire and all that. So naturally, that's what happened to these guys in their Valiant. They dragged that thing out. There was a huge chunk of the side of the block missing, and they valiantly put a new engine back in and got back out on track.
The flip side being the I Got Screwed trophy. This was the Peugeot 504 of Sputnik Racing. Where to begin? All right, so Sputnik Racing is this group of lovable but hapless individuals run by Alex Sasha Rashev.
So Alex Sasha Rashev is a Russian. Now, for whatever reason, in modern internet times, Russians have become a bit of their own meme, where everything is kind of crappy and sketchy and they don't have their act together, all of which I'm sure is very offensive to and not representative of actual Russians.
However, in this case, totally representative of Team Sputnik and their performance with the 504s. They brought an entire spare Peugeot 504 1979 diesel parts car thinking, oh, what can go wrong? We have these covered. Not a single part interchange between the 2 cars. They spent the entire weekend kind of looking at it, scratching it. Oil would flow down into the paddock. Oh, that is not right. We have to try something else. They would do that over and over again. It was so horrible to watch. And in the meantime, they also have this Fury. They couldn't make it run. It's run like 8 races before. They could not figure out how to get that onto the track. All the while, the Rambler is also in their paddock for them to use when their 3 entered cars don't work, and yet they never got the Rambler out either.
The trajectory of the Ramble On Forward program has basically been Judge's choice went to GS Motorsport and their modern 21st century Chevy Monte Carlo, which, you know, if you brought a 2004 BMW or a Mazda or a Honda, people will be, I can't believe it's $500. You bring a Monte Carlo, nobody says a word.
Totally fine.
And so these guys did a NASCAR theme, the best part of which was that they all had grown mustaches, according to them, just for this theme. It's possible that
they might have already
always had those mustaches. Anyway, they looked awesome / hilarious. Judge's choice.
The special award for this race was the Never Give Up Trophy, and this went to Grim Reaper Racing and their V6 Mustang. So these guys, they've been racing, they're like on 24 races now. They had to struggle to figure out even Class B, and they worked and they finally won Class B. Woohoo! Immediately got bumped to Class A, where they were totally hopeless again. But they never gave up, and they have struggled. They made it all the way up to 3rd overall in this car. Fantastic. But here's the thing, one of their teammates, Greg Weeks, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. He is having a terrible time. He couldn't make it to the race. They wanted to withdraw, and they wanted to be with their buddy, and he said, don't you dare. You are going to take that car, and you're going to enter it, and you're going to do well. And they did. Totally worth the trophy.
Okay, now Organizer's Choice was really in the works for several weeks, if not months before this event. And it went to Mustang Express, which was a team of high school kids trying really hard to get this terrible 70s truck on track, and they did, not without a few bumps in the road.
They had a lot of work to do. I mean, the cage wasn't actually attached to the car. The rear bumper was about 14 feet in the air, right at head height for anyone who was going to rear end them. It took some doing.
Yeah, and say what you will about millennials and their inability to do anything productive. Arguably getting a 70s gigantic Chevy truck into a LeMons race is not super productive, but it's something. It's more than sitting around snap twittering on your telephone device to your friends or whatever it is that those kids do. Anyway, it was great. Organizer's choice.
And the IOE went to Lunar LeMon, who kind of has future legend written all over him. Yeah. So they won org choice at their last race for their incredibly not ready to race Chevy Astro. Yeah. They learned their lesson. This car showed up. It rolled off the truck. It totally went out there and drove around and around and around. It had its usual space shuttle garb on it. It was totally great.
And that's it for Southern Discomfort. Here's LeMons in a nutshell.